Hey guys, Bobby Rio here with Rob Judge, and we want to do a quick little video for you guys and discuss something that you've probably heard us mention, especially if you went through our Scrambler seminar. We talked a little bit about it. We've casually mentioned it in other videos, but we've never gone deep into it. And I know Rob and I have both done a lot of coaching calls lately where we've gotten feedback from our clients who were really curious about what we meant by this idea of dressing like a villain. So I wanted to get Rob on here because he's kind of the pioneer of this to talk a little bit about it.
If I'm the pioneer, you're the one who named it because, I started just kind of like, quick backstory. I had broken up with my girlfriend a couple of years ago, and breakups are like a good time to like assess some changes you need to make. And one of the things I realized was like, I was still dressing like I did, back in high school. I was just putting on clothes I thought looked good on me without any real thought going into why I was dressing the way I was dressing. So I started just doing research, reading some blogs and that kind of thing, and really started to make an effort to dress better. And then you're the one who said that you were like, dude, you're dressing like a villain. And I don't know if that was supposed to be like an insult at first, but it has slowly become like a term of endearment, and something we advise guys to do now too.
Yeah, I think that it's, one of the things, and we're not going to go into the Scrambler in this particular video, but in the Scrambler, we teach something called the pattern interrupt. And I think that when you're trying to change your image to women, especially if you're a nice guy and you've always been the nice guy, there's an element of being a nice guy that makes you dress like a nice guy. It's a phenomenon that you can almost see who a nice guy is by the way he dresses. It's almost like he just wants to be as edgeless as possible, I guess is the way to say it, to kind of almost present themselves as like, I'm harmless, right? And I know if you've seen my videos, I've been guilty of this, and I'm finally, me and you have been working together to actually move me into a more villainous role. But I think it's really important for guys that are stereotypical nice guys to add this villainous element to the way they dress.
And you made a great point there that I think a lot of guys, they don't consider what they're putting on, like the way they're dressed. It's as if it's a uniform, right? Like when you're on the street, you need a police officer, you're gonna look for someone in a uniform. If you see someone in rags and that kind of thing, that's like the uniform of a homeless person. So what guys don't consider though is that they're putting on the uniform of a nice guy when they're wearing like the khakis and the safe button down solid color shirt, Oxford shirt or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just feel like you said, so many guys, they want to camouflage themselves in, they want to fit in, they don't want to stand out, they don't want to do anything bold with what they're wearing. And what ends up happening is that is literally the uniform of a neutered nice guy who doesn't get laid. So,
Yeah, it's funny. Long before I've ever studied any of this, or even before I even met you or talked to you, I remember back in college, there was this guy, Chris, and he was like the guy that he always had like, if there was like a girl at the party who just wanted to get laid, she was going to bang Chris. That was his bread and butter, was those kind of girls. And I asked him one time, I said, how do you always seem to have these women fall in your lap, right? How are you always the guy they choose? And he's like, look at the way I dress. He's like, I add an element of sex to the way I look. He's like, look at a girl. He's like, when you look around a bar, you judge which girls are going to be the easiest to sleep with and the best in bed by the ones who add some element of sex appeal to them, right? For women, it could be different. It could be dangly earrings, a low-cut outfit, showing cleavage, a low-cut shirt. That adds sex to her, right? And she's pronouncing herself in the place as having sex appeal, right? She's showing it off. She's not trying to hide it. And he said, well, and he showed, he just look at the way I dress compared to the way you dress. And I looked at him and I go, I immediately understood what he was talking about. He's like, when a girl scans the bar, she's like, I'm the one that has sex appeal because of things I do. And he's like, and it's not, and we can get into this in terms of, what is it and what isn't it. And it was really just a few things he did in his outfit that I picked up on. And I kind of forgot about it until years later when me and you started really getting into this, and you kind of telling me why you've moved your fashion style, because you have since I've met you. I mean, if you watch the videos of me and you that we did, 8 years ago, you've completely transformed. Unfortunately, I kind of stayed the same in mine, and I finally catching up and saying, hey, I'm gonna add this villainous criteria to my wardrobe as well.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. It's like if you want to go to a job interview, of course you would dress the part. You wouldn't show up in a t-shirt and jeans or whatever. And it's like if you want what you're looking for, what you're looking to get out of your dating life, so many guys just don't consider how their clothes are either helping or hurting them. And this idea of the villain is just and again, you think that I pioneered this, but you're the one who really recognized this and kind of defined it. But that type of style, that is the antithesis of the nice guy. In fact, what's kind of cool about, and part of the reason I started dressing more villainously is because, I am kind of a nice guy, and I don't want to like be an asshole to women, and I don't want to like treat women bad. But what's nice is that when I am nice to women, or I do things that are just being me, now my persona kind of balances that out. It's kind of this nice like give and take of like, oh well, he kind of looks like this playerish villain guy, but he's like kind, and he's like not a total asshole. It's like you give him the best of both worlds, So it's kind of this cool thing that all you need to do is make a couple tweaks to your fashion style or your image, and the reward is incredible.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's really important, like you said, to give that contrast, right? So if you tend to be a nice guy, if you kind of have some of those habits, it's sort of an advantage that you can give yourself by dressing in this villainous way, because when she sees you, she's going to stereotype you as being a little bit more, I don't want to say mysterious, because that's not really the word I'm looking for, but more, she's going to assume you have an edge to you. She's going to assume that you're maybe a player, that you've been around. So the ironic thing about that is you can actually get away with a few more mistakes. You can get away with a little bit more nice guy behavior because it kind of balances it out.
It's funny. I think it actually kind of helps you a little bit, sometimes, doing things like that, because for me, it's all about, like me and you talk about it all the time, right? Like, you never want a girl to completely figure you out. Even if you're in a long-term relationship, there always should be some aspect of mystique or mystery about who you are or that kind of thing that keeps her invested. I mean, that's the reason we watch movies, we watch these serial TV shows, is that we're looking for that next surprise. And what's interesting about when you dress in a way that's kind of edgy, but then you're not totally acting like a dickwad or a guy who's like, an asshole, is that it creates this kind of like this, you're more interesting because she can't totally figure you out. She's like, well, he dresses that way, so I would assume that he's kind of like this playerish guy or whatever. But then like he's actually like he doesn't totally fit that persona. So who is he? And she's trying to, and the whole time she's trying to figure you out. And then hamsters on the wheel running in her head is that those feelings of attraction are being stoked.
Yeah, there's, in addition to all that, there's actually another thing that I picked up on recently, right? Is that when you dress the way, right? If you look at, let's just say Rob here, and you see him come out, and you see the way he dresses, right? Women can look at him and they can know that he puts effort into it. They know that he's picking out certain things for a reason. Now, what's interesting about that and what is attractive to a woman about that is that it shows that he places a high value on himself, because it's like a guy who doesn't think of himself as being good looking or being cool or being, a guy who's not too confident. He doesn't like want to show off. He doesn't treat himself well. But when you see somebody that obviously is dressing in a very calculated way, it almost is a shortcut to placing value on them. Like a woman is going to assume that you place a high value on yourself because you take the time to present yourself a certain way, versus the guy who shows up and he looks like he put about 5 minutes into going to the store, grabbing the first shirt he saw or whatever, you know? So I think in addition to giving you that sort of sex appeal, that edge, it also signals a level of confidence that you don't get when you're dressed like a nice guy.
Yes, and that's also why I think that this advice, so many guys will listen to this and they won't take this advice because it's outside of their comfort zone. To dress, even to wear a jacket like this, right? Well, like you know, kind of like a bikerish, like, you know, bad boy jacket or whatever. You know, for a lot of guys, that would be outside of their comfort zone. You know, I've had guys come up to me and say, "Oh yeah, well that's cool. Like it's cool when you wear that stuff, but I couldn't wear that, or that's not me." And to me, that's just me or them saying to me that like that they're not comfortable dressing that way because they don't want to stand out yet. They don't feel like that they can assume that leadership sort of role. And that's why, you know, if you're a guy listening to this and you're kind of like on the fence, probably this is the advice you need to hear, and probably you should start getting more comfortable wearing bolder clothing choices, wearing things that signify that you put a high value on yourself, because it's kind of like the self-fulfilling prophecy. Because you start dressing the part, people start treating you that way, and then you just suddenly become that guy. It's kind of cool, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that because I've recently been, you know, me and you have been working together. You've been, you know, my little fashion advisor to an extent.
That's it. So,
but you know, it's just funny because my girlfriend like hates it because she's like, you know, she's like resisting it, you know, because a lot of guys like they don't get it, right? And she's coming around. She's like, but what's interesting about it is that when you put on a little bit more of a edgier clothes, like you said, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I feel because you almost kind of have to act into it, right? Like you can't kind of slouch over and be like, you kind of have to wear it in a way that shows confidence. And I found myself, the more I dress this way, the more I'm conscious of how I'm presenting myself, which then makes me more confident. So, you know, in this video, I don't really want to get too much into, you know, fashion and what it is. We can cover that in future ones. But is there any one tip you want to leave the guys with before, you know, like I said, I know we're gonna kind of cover this in a future video where we actually give you some specific clothing recommendations and stuff. But maybe from a mentality standpoint, if they were to look at their wardrobe right now, how would they judge whether or not something fits the villain criteria?
well, you know, I think the biggest thing is that, you know, a guy should ask himself what he's trying to get out of his dating life, where his goals are, who he wants to be, kind of get an image of who that guy is, and really ask yourself, is this the uniform? Is this like, look at it almost as if it was a uniform. Is that like, you know, solid color, raggy, ill-fitting polo shirt really the uniform of that guy? You know, and this is where I challenge guys to go a standard deviation or two bolder than what they think they're comfortable with. So if you're used to wearing like, you know, solid colored navy suits, maybe it's time that you consider getting like a plaid suit, or getting something, or having, you know, going to a tailor. Here's a really easy fix. Just go to a tailor. You know, it only costs $30-$40 to get a shirt altered or a jacket altered, and get it so that it really fits you. And for a lot of guys, what you think really fits you, it's still too baggy. It's still too ill-fitting. It really has to be like, you know, fit you like look at a movie villain. Their clothes fit them immaculately, you know, and obviously they have, you know, the tailors and all that stuff to do that for them, or costume designers, but you really need to start looking at your wardrobe as if almost from like a third person perspective, and being like, are my clothes really helping me? Is this really the uniform of the guy I want to be? Or am I just doing what's comfortable, what I'm used to, and what I think is me? Because, you know, like it's the line from 40-Year-Old Virgin, right? Like, you know, being you isn't really working. You gotta be a better version of you, you know?
Yeah, I want to leave two things I want to end off on. One is, and this kind of goes with what you said, like, is that the guy that is going to achieve what you want to achieve dressed that way? And what I always tell guys, because, you know, we both do a lot of coaching, and I have guys resist me. They say, I'm just not, I don't want to have to dress like that, right? That's a common thing. I don't want to have to put that. And I go, well, you're telling me you want a really attractive girl, right? You want the girl that you want. You don't want the 5 and baggy clothes and, like, you know, who wears like clothes from Walmart. You want the attractive, sexy, mature looking woman who dresses really well. So if that's the type of woman you want, then you have to live up to that, right? if you're fine with a girl who gives no crap about fashion, then you don't need to care about it. But if you want your girl to be out and put time into how she looks, then you've got to expect to do the same. The second thing, and this kind of goes with the Taylor thing, this is just off topic, but when you look at the pricing of clothing, right? And I know that when you started helping me out a little bit, and you'd send me some stuff, and I'd be like, man, this is like fucking expensive, you know? And we're going to talk about how you can do this cheaper. But one of the things that I found really interesting is I used to see expensive clothes, and I'd be like, that shirt why is that shirt $150 when you can go to the store and you see one that looks similar for $47? And it's all in how it fits. Because when you spend, now that I've been spending, more money on shirts, you put it on and you're like, oh, that's why. It just fits your body so much better. So even if you're like, well, a tailor seems really hard, just increasing the amount of that you spend on a shirt, right? And look at it as an investment. Because I used to be the guy who would go to the store and I'd be like, well, I can get 3 shirts or I can get 1 shirt. Why would I just get 1 when I can get 3? But then I realized that you're better off just getting 1. And even if it takes you another month to buy your next one, just get the one that you're going to wear and you're going to feel super fucking confident in, and also give off the impression you want to be giving off.
Yes, exactly. I couldn't, that is great advice to buy fewer things that are better made, higher quality, and stand out more versus because you could save money buying clothes, but if you buy you could buy get those 3 shirts, but you don't really like wearing them. You might, you wasted your money anyway because you're not it's not working for you. It's not an investment. It's you're just simply covering up your nakedness by putting that shirt on. So and a lot of guys don't. They want their clothes to empower them to give off that right impression. And and if you're just trying to save money on clothing, in the long run, you're actually just wasting your money.
Cool, man. So in a future video, Rob is actually gonna give you some more tactical things about adding the villain look to your wardrobe, maybe with some suggestions. I know you're working on a little report you're going to give out or something like that, just kind of clarifying. And the reason that we're doing this, honestly, is because we both have done a lot of coaching calls, and it's been one of the things that we're constantly going over with our clients. And we figured, it's time to actually systematize this so that it's not this vague thing. We want to kind of make it more tactical. So look out for future videos.
Yes. And I look forward to continuing this format. It's a nice way to kind of just jump on a conference call like this and just kind of go over what me and you were talking about just amongst when we just talk privately,
Yeah, definitely.